start the show by saying it's an absolute pleasure for me. Anyone knows me, they know I'm a big Spurs. Well, I'm a big, probably in the wrong direction, Spurs.
Large.
Welcome to the shop, the social web of positivity. But let me just say, I'm totally overexcited. You need to ask Maya how excited I was when I even spoke to this gentleman on the phone, let alone meet him in person. Ladies and gentlemen, the very wonderful Mr. Tottenham himself, Steve Perryman.
Thank you very much. What a great introduction. Thank you very much. Great to be talking to you all.
It's great to be here. It's your house. If you won't,
let's have some fun.
Yeah, absolutely. We already started. As a Spurs fan, and I know there's lots of people that watch this across the board from different places, including Croatia, bizarrely, but only because they're relatives. But you've had an absolutely, for me, you have been. Oh, let me just take this off because I'm a bit hot. Let me just say that when I started watching Tottenham, this was the top, and for me,
oh wow,
this is. I
started it.
That's what I'm saying. So when I look, and people have their favourite players, have their favourite eras, you actually bridge quite a few of those really successful times. Now, there's Arsenal fans out there saying, really, what, successful compared to who? Shut it. But in reality, right across the board for Tottenham, as far as our trophy cabinet, you've actually been part of two of the biggest parts of that history, because I would say that the double team with Bill Nick, etc.
Yeah, and I joined Tottenham at the end of that sort of era of double team. So, for instance, when I joined as a 15-year-old from school, Dave Mackay was captain, who played in the double. Jimmy Greaves was still there, who came just on the end of the double. Ron Henry I played with, so he was left back in the double team. I played with through the teams. We met up in the A team, and Bill Nicholson, of course,
was the
man.
Wow!
So he signed me, and that's a massive tick to my name. That Bill Nicholson thought I was going to be good enough to represent his Tottenham Hotspurs and all the history that you've been talking about. And actually, I joined on the back of the '67 FA Cup win against Chelsea. And it sort of helped me make my decision. In the end, it was nothing to do with that glory. It was about signing for Bill Nicholson.
Oh, yeah.
And the reason for that was because he was down to earth, straight talking, told you like it is, told you like you need to hear it.
Yeah.
No flannel, no spin, no mind games. Just 100% honesty from a Yorkshireman, and not too much money, but honesty, and that's what encouraged me to sign for Tottenham Hotspur rather than maybe 30 other clubs, because I'm from West London, so Tottenham was not my club, so Northolt in Ealing, and so because Tottenham were the first club to recognise my so-called talent. First club to knock on the door, but because my elder brother, who was a sort of mentor of mine in lots of ways, he encouraged me at 15 years of age, or under 15, encouraged me not to sign that schoolboy form, and I'm looking at him, what? Why not? And Tottenham, the chief scout, is saying, oh, you can come training if you sign that form. Ted, no one else is asking me. No, he's not signing that form. He doesn't have to sign it to come training. And through that season, I started off playing for Ealing under 15s, Middlesex, London, and eventually England. So now I'm being seen by all the scouts in the country, and I'm probably the only one not signed to a club. So they're sort of vying, and that's why it took someone special like Bill Nicholson to sort of tip me over the edge for a decision. And, bearing in mind that other people like Ron Greenwood of West Ham and Tommy Docherty of Chelsea and Malcolm Allison of Manchester City and, all these famous people sat in my council house best room. Did you have a best room?
Well, we couldn't afford a best room. We're lucky to have a room.
Okay.
No, we did in one sense. Yeah.
So in that era, you always had a best room for the family
In Ireland,
or whatever.
absolutely,
Yeah.
still to this day.
So they, so small. My dad was a coal delivery man. My mum was a mum.
Hardest job in the world.
Hardest, absolutely. And they tell me in later years that one of the requirements to help make it from schoolboy to apprentice to professional to getting in the team, one of the requirements is in your developing years that when you get home from school, your mum is at home.
Wow.
She's not working. You're not like taking the key out, letting yourself in and
latchkey kid,
getting up to whatever you get up to. So normal family, 2 elder brothers who were great influences on me. I always believe that you're a product of what you're surrounded by, and I was extremely lucky to have 2 proper brothers, one 2 years older, one 2 years on from that, and they led me to go over the fields, over the park, do nice things, instead of saying, Steve, come on, let's raid the sweet shop. Let's go steal some, that type of thing. And so when Ted was saying to me, no, he don't sign that form, I wanted to argue, but I couldn't. So, but which actually led to more pressure, because as you go through that year of your under 15 year at school, and I went to a grammar school, did I need all these people around my house telling me how good I was and that I should sign for them? And I mean, it was great for my ego, but it wasn't great for the stress that was building up to make the decision. And because when you please one person, and it ended up pleasing Bill Nicholson that I signed, you're letting all this big group of people down, because they all thought they had a chance, obviously. Anyway, it was the right decision, because I spent 19 years at Tottenham. I became the most appeared.
866, or
something. And
you can't remember that many. Yeah, I'm sure it's. If
well,
you look at the stats, everyone.
That's in the first team, by the way. So if you think about putting this shirt on, with the juniors, the youth, the A team, and the reserves.
Wow.
Testimonials, tour games.
Yes,
Charity shields, for instance. So, it must be well over 1,000 games. Did I know that when I started I was going to play 1,000 games? No. Did I know at 17 when I got in the first team, given my debut, did I know how important that game was to my future? If I'd have known how important it was, I'd have died a death. I would have frozen, because...
That's interesting, because there you go.
Naivety. It's just naivety. You're picked in the team. You play football.
Enjoying it.
I've always practiced football. I play football. I'm paid to play football. Manager's picking me. But when you look back on it, that was some type of pressure. Not that I knew. So it worked out great. For instance, the school, went to a grammar school, followed my 2 brothers to the school. They went berserk when I decided at the end of that under 15 year to leave school. Well, you've wasted a place at a grammar school. Your mother has signed this form to say you're going to stay into the 6th form. We don't like it. Yeah, but I don't know what else I'm going to do. Well, we think you're university material. We think that you've got a great future ahead of you. By the way, Steve, what's going to happen if you get an unlucky kick? Put you out of the game, finishes your career. What have you got behind you? And it was all very sensible stuff. To a 15-year-old with a chance of joining Tottenham Hotspur and playing the game that he loves. Well, anyway, it was sort of going to court. The school were going to take it all the way. They actually couldn't stop me leaving school, but they could stop me being registered. So I could train a week, I could play in friendlies, but I couldn't play in like a league situation. So it would inhibit your development as a player. So anyway, they backed off in the end, which was right that they did. And luckily, I didn't get the unlucky kick, and managed to play the games that you mentioned, and travelled the world, met some great people along the way.
Yeah.
Played against George Best,
yeah.
Bobby Charlton, and
Dennis
Law.
Wow.
And played with Pat Jennings and Mike England and Greaves, Gilzine, Chivers, Cyril No. I mean, and in later life, Glenn Hoddle, Ozzy Ardiles, Ricky Villa.
Yeah, I mean,
Wembley
your
Cup
career,
finals.
Your career.
So I do cover. You're right.
Yeah.
I do cover the sort of eras, and I've got a link to the double team, but not involved.
Yeah.
And actually
picked by their manager.
Yeah, but by the same
manager.
manager.
Same manager who was that
So
successful.
that's the link.
Presumably could have picked just about anyone he wanted. He had his reputation.
That's the link.
It's amazing.
And
so he was from Yorkshire, so was Birkinshaw. Both two of the most successful managers.
So money wasn't plentiful from these two. They were two old-fashioned types who believed that you should pay the club to play for them.
Wow. There's something to be said about that, Mike.
So yeah. So
except for the paying the
to
bills.
get imagine that these days. So to get a rise from either of these two was you're like stealing the crown jewels.
Yeah.
And I've got lots of stories about how tough they were, but it was a tough love. They tried to keep you grounded. They keep to keep you down is a wrong word, but to don't let the lid blow off. And so lots of instances by that. And I talk about Bill Nicholson. When I was in development stages, we had 5 teams perform on a Saturday.
Wow.
Juniors, under 17s, youth team, under 18s, A team, which was the 3rd professional team, played in the Metropolitan League, reserves and first team. So 5 skips had to be packed, 5 lots of this, 5 lots of that, 5 lots of boots had to be bloody cleaned on a Monday morning, etc. And that's what you did as an apprentice. So so on a Monday morning, the doctor arrived, who wasn't full-time, local doctor, nice man, good at his job. And so there would be, over the course of these 5 teams, 65 players maybe.
Wow.
There would be 5 fat ankles, 3 cut eyes, 1 dodgy shoulder, 1 bad back.
No, just you.
Yeah. So at some point, and of course there was 4 beds in this treatment room, and of course the first team would be, if there's 4 first team in it, they would take the beds, of course they would. And then the rest of us would stand in the corner, and according to your statue at the club, you would just go around there. Anyway, eventually the door would open and Bill would walk in. Who's seen it all. He's only seen the first team play as per the injuries that we've just got, but he's seen it all in his life before. And he would be immaculate. Not in terms of sort of, boss clothes or anything like that, but he was the boss, but the creases in his trousers, the parting in his hair, the polish on his shoes, just immaculate. And he'd walk in and he'd look at bed 1, to bed 2, to bed 3, to bed 4. And walk out. How you doing? How is it? Is that ankle coming down? Is no care whatsoever. And basically what he was saying is that I need to go and deal with the players that are going to get me the next result. And it's not you lot.
You let me down.
It's not you lot. So I was led by a get on with it society.
Yeah.
They'd come through the end of the war, rationing, lucky to get 1 present at Christmas.
Yeah.
Very lucky.
Yeah.
No central heating in the houses by this time, probably an outdoor toilet, etc.
Yeah.
Get on with it.
Yeah.
So can you imagine saying to people like Bill Nicholson or Keith Birkinshaw, I'm tired. No, it weren't going to wash. It would have no effect whatsoever. And but it was tough love and it was great.
Yeah.
And very rarely, okay, a little bit less with Keith Birkinshaw, but certainly with Bill and his staff, they never said well done.
What?
Never.
Wow.
If they didn't talk to you, it meant you played well.
Wow. Because they'd only talk to you to tell you something.
Something, yeah. And by the way, if you thought you were getting above yourself, but you played well.
Yeah.
So, how do you think you done then? For you to let them know how much you were getting above yourself, for them to say,
what about this?
see if you do it next game.
Yeah, yeah.
That type of stuff.
Yeah.
The 50th anniversary of this is coming up. 20-year-old Steve Perryman scored 2 goals against AC Milan in the home leg of a semi-final of the UEFA Cup. We were losing 1-0 against the famous Italians, who that era were professional defenders.
Yeah.
They wouldn't let you get away from them. They'd do everything bar give a penalty away.
Yeah.
They would nudge you out the referees and all that. So I scored 2 goals from sort of the edge of the box and one a bit further out. And I think I worked out my body. That's one of my strengths. I listened to my body and I worked out what it needed. And after games, I needed to soak in a bath. I might have got that wrong, but
866
history tells
games.
History tells you I didn't.
Yeah.
So I'd soak in the bath. And by the time I came out of the the shower area on this particular night, everyone's gone. Medical gone. This gone. Good job I didn't want to strap in.
Yeah.
Anyway, they're all gone, and so I sort of dry off and start putting me. And I think, no, I'm gonna go in the treatment room. Half lights, 4 beds, and I lay on the bed, and I'm probably thinking, Steve, you had it off tonight. 2 goals. Well, you're lucky to get 2 shots a game, let alone score 2 goals. And where
you're midfielder,
defensive midfield.
Yeah.
So whereas I'm laying like here, that wall there, out there is the car park. So there's all sorts of noise going on. For instance, in those days, the manager would hold the press conference in the car park.
Wow,
Be it raining, snowing, bright sunshine.
Yeah.
That's where it is.
Yeah.
So this sort of stuff would be going on, and the players would be meeting their family after and getting in the car together and slamming doors. All this was going on out there. And I'm thinking, wow. And by the way, and modern day players wouldn't believe this, this AC Milan game was held just after Easter. And we'd played 4 games in 6 days.
What?
This was the 4th.
Wow.
This was the 4th. And we'd gone to go down.
Yeah.
Step it up. Did you have it in your legs to step it up?
Wow.
Anyway, as a
balls,
team.
how heavy were those balls as well, comparatively?
And the pitches.
Yeah, and the boots. Even the weight of the boots.
Well, there's something to be said about boots, because the modern day boots, when they just touch each other.
Yeah. No, I thought that. I thought that.
So there's something to be said good about the boots. Anyway, I'm laying on the bed, and I don't know where my head's going, but it's sort of. If I'd have been double flash, I'd have been out there talking to the press how good I am to score the 2 goals, etc. And I'm not. I'm probably waiting for them all to go home.
Yeah.
Anyway, door opens. In comes the doctor, who arrived on Mondays or Fridays to say how bad you were or whether you could play or not, and obviously attended midweek games.
Yeah.
Didn't talk to me, didn't look at me. Went to the sink, washed his hands, dried them, looked in the mirror, adjusted his tie, and said into the mirror, Bill Nicholson is an absolute genius. So there's no one else in the room. So he must be talking to me. So probably had a drink by this time, the doctor, Irish doctor. Anyway, if he's talking to anyone, it's going to be me. So I said, "Why is that, Doc?" And he turned around and he pointed at me and he said, "Because he very nearly left you out tonight." If I'd have been on I'd have been on the ceiling, I would have been down on the floor.
Yeah. Well, wow.
Now, whether that was off his own book of psychological come downs, or Bill Nick said, "Get in there."
Make sure he's grounded for the next one. That's amazing.
So that's the era that we come through.
Yeah.
I'd say today, too many well dones.
Yeah.
Too much money too soon. That's not jealousy. That's just a fact of life.
Yeah.
Because the contract situation went from there in the club's favour to their players' agents' favour.
Agents.
You know, if you don't sign a new contract, you can be free. So they can't let it finish before you've done it, but you might do it.
Yeah.
Give them a new contract.
Yeah.
Etc. So I people say to me, could Bill Nicholson have managed in today's game? And I say, probably not, but he would have found a way. Yeah. But I'd love to have seen him have a meeting with an agent. I would have loved it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Do you think that's been one of the major changes in that part of it? Because there's got to be much more money in the game. Everyone else is benefiting, aren't they? All the advertisers.
Sky TV.
Sky
TV.
Premier League.
You can watch a game whenever they want the game to be played. So football's given away part of its power and history. Yeah. Actually.
Yeah, the Saturday.
Well, they haven't done that for cheap. It's being loaded on them. And of course the players do well out of that. The clubs are under pressure to get results, and managers are under pressure to get results. So therefore, you know, Keith Birkinshaw, for instance, we got relegated in his first year to the second division.
Yeah, I remember.
And
I remember.
Yeah, and he kept his job. He kept his job and became the second most successful manager under Bill Nick. So it's a changing world. It's a changing game.
Yeah,
and
he would have been sacked. He would have been sacked within just before they went down. Now,
it's all for sure. It's all about now.
Yeah, instant
It's
results.
about now. And someone said to me a statistic the other day that, and we know how famous Bill Shankly was at Liverpool. Yeah, I think Bill Shankly went through 7 seasons before he won something.
Same as Ferguson, though, in a way, wasn't it?
Ferguson was under pressure. Yeah. I think he was about 3 years. So
it wouldn't happen.
Changing game. No, there's no time left anymore. There's very little loyalty in the game, is there?
Well, you've done both sides of it. You've actually coached here and abroad, haven't you?
Yes, very much.
So you must have been a bit of a pioneer out east. How long was the league going out there?
Loved it. You only ever signed 1-year contracts. Happy to do so, because it's a chance to work abroad. You get such a surge of energy when you work abroad. Yeah. Oh, my word. And you can imagine in a country like Japan, the respect level. Yeah. They knew my stats of my games. Yeah. I went with Aussie, so they knew about the World Cup winner. Yeah. They knew my stats of games, Aussie's stats of winning. And they listened to every single word you gave them. Yeah. New profession. Yeah. And I have to say we did it a bit different. Aussie works on reactions. Everything's reaction. Quick. Play quick. Okay. Aussie tells a story about when we was at Spurs that he turned up one day. We had 24 in the squad, and he said, "Stevie, I'm taking the forwards today. You take the defenders. So you 23 come with me." Anyway, so.
Well, he had that famous
but
at the time when he was the coach.
But he was ahead of his time, I'm telling you. One of the biggest mistakes they ever made. And just to prove this fact, so we got asked to leave, no problem. I was actually, because of Mr. Sugar, I was absolutely delighted to get out of his power, out of his
Yeah.
You don't want to be anywhere near him. Absolutely. Not out of fear, but out of lack of respect.
Culture of the...
Lack of respect.
Yeah.
And, when someone with all this money thinks they can tell you about your industry.
That's interesting.
And my mates think this, and my mates think that.
Yeah.
Well, let your mates run the club then.
Yeah.
Go all the way with it.
Anyone can do it then, can they?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
But to sort of prove the fact. So we leave. Ozzy goes to Mexico. I go to Norway on a short-term contract. We're together in his house over Christmas and New Year. And his phone goes, and actually it's a friend of mine phoning him saying, Ozzy, do you fancy a job in Japan? Stevie, we want Japan? Yes, we do. Anyway, so we go off to Japan. And together, we won more than Wenger won in Japan.
Wow.
Individually, we won more than Wenger won in Japan. And Wenger had come back to England by this time.
Yeah.
He was in Japan before us. He came back to England by this time and started off winning the double with Arsenal. And was a thorn in Tottenham's side forevermore. And Sugar paid these two Tottenham nuts.
Yeah.
Paid them to go.
Yeah. Yeah. Wenger was...
I suggest you might be wrong, Mr. Sugar.
Yeah.
He's the only man in the world that can say sack Steve Perryman.
Yeah.
After 50 years in the game.
Wow.
And did I say man?
So that era of the five, was it the Dimitrescu, Petrescu, Nick Barmby? That was Ozzy, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was Sheringham.
Yeah.
Klinsmann. Barmby.
How did I go that way?
Dimitrescu.
Yeah.
Anderton.
Yes.
Popescu was at the back.
Yeah, of course he was. The unbelievable...
Famous five.
Yeah, famous five, yeah.
It actually was never a famous five. That's just a label that the press put on it.
Like the
but,
Beatles,
and then, therefore, they put Ozzy in a bracket of Ozzy's teams can't defend. When we won the championship...
You don't need to defend if it's in the other goal, isn't it?
When we won the championship in Japan, we scored the most goals, we conceded the less goals, we had the best disciplinary record.
Yeah.
And the country went, wow.
Yeah.
You might have missed that, Mr. Sugar.
Yeah.
Within your...
No, that was really exciting.
What your mates thought.
Yeah. So then, I had the pleasure of having Mickey Hazard come up and do a fundraiser for Can Do a few years back now. Paul Price, all teammates of yours.
Yeah, absolutely.
Obviously the FA...
Was it golf, dude?
No.
I love a bit of golf.
No, we played football.
Did you? Wow.
Well, they played football. I just got to walk on the same... Oh, we also used to get Mickey to come and do the... I used to run the Blur Soccer 6 thing down in London.
Oh, yeah.
So Stamford Bridge. So we have Mickey Hazard, obviously played for Chelsea as well.
Yes.
But we also... Who do we have?
Wonderful player.
Oh my God, yeah. But I mean, what a great... Again, what another era of teams that you were part of.
Yeah.
That truly had succeeded. And it's interesting, I took my oldest boy, he's 30, no, he's 30. When he was 21, I took him to White Hart Lane, one of those sort of pre-match things, meals, and sit around, you meet some legends. And there was a little fella beside me. And I said to this little fella, so who would you, ideally, who would the legends be that we'd meet today? And he said Ledley King. Now, bless, I love Ledley, don't get me wrong. Sure. But Ledley probably retired 3 days earlier, sort of thing, you know, in truth.
Sure.
What, you know, when you say legends...
You stick to your...
Yeah, absolutely. So I turned to him and said, wow. He goes, well, who would be yours? I said, Ledley King? I said, he's not a legend, he's hardly retired, he's a legend, he's sort of whatever. He said, well, who would yours be? I said, I'll tell you who mine would be. I said, Martin Chivers, Pat Jennings, Martin Peters.
Absolutely.
Right? I turned up, I looked up, and at the bar was Pat Jennings. I nearly exploded, the poor little kid. He was probably about 10, I was 50. Wow. I went, I said, look, and of course he didn't even recognise them. I'm going, these are the legends, like I had spoken them out of my mouth, as it were.
I was on stage the other night with Big Chiv, Alan Mullery, Pat Jennings. We were talking about the 72 UEFA Cup campaign, etc. And it's great to get back to any teammates, anyone. But especially when you've tasted victory, when you've tasted a trophy together, because it just means that much more. You've got more to talk about. You know, I don't often talk to the team that got relegated. Do you know what I mean?
Colin Lee, they were in the second division on his four goals on his debut,
and was injured.
Wow.
He probably shouldn't have played. What happened was we were in a training camp in Bisham Abbey, and Keith Birkinshaw said, me and I think maybe Peter Streves or Pat Welton, we're going to look at a player to maybe sign because we've got all these forwards injured. So Steve, you look after the rest of it and make sure they all get home okay and all that stuff. Okay. So they went to Torquay to watch a game. Signed Colin Lee off the back of what they saw. And then when he got introduced to us like a day or two later, leading up to that game against Bristol Rovers, wasn't it? Steve, this is Colin Lee. Got a bit of an Achilles injury, by the way. Another one injured. Anyway, he played. Anyway, it was jumping like a salmon. And scored 4 goals. So, like to see this fellow when he's fit. So
back to the legends. I wasn't being disrespectful to Ledley, but for me,
sure.
Years later, you mentioned, obviously, no doubt, to the new stadium. Ledley was there. I told him that story, and he's such a humble guy, isn't he? I said, and that was probably easily 10 years before. And he goes, no, he said, no, compared to them, I'm not a legend. No, you are obviously a legend.
You are, but
now looking back.
More so to a certain age.
Of course.
But nice guy.
Beautiful guy.
Nice guy. And what a shame he finished early through injury.
Yeah, that was always the big thing, wasn't it, with him?
Such a shame.
Bless him. But so your fitness then, I was really intrigued. So what would you say fundamentally, because Wenger brought a lot of that sports science, didn't he, to the Prem or to the higher echelons of football, all the sports science around diet, and you were a coach yourself, water temperature, you name it, resting, obviously no alcohol, which...
Common sense.
Yeah, a lot of it. So what was yours then?
I'd put it all down to common sense. So you got to listen to your body. Because I played a number of games, when I got to when you're young, so when you leave school, you're never unfit at school, are you? You're not unfit. And then you start pre-season, you think, I'm not fit. Anyway, so because I had a history of playing games, they trusted me. And in that era, bearing in mind, you can't say you're tired, you can't. So if I said, I'm not right today, I'm not right. Of course they would say, well, why not? I said, just not right. My legs don't feel right. They would, of course, have to be there to say it. It's not like I'd stay at home and say, I'm not right, by the way. So listen to my body. I've got this thing about, we call it the flying ant day. Do you know what I'm talking about there?
Or they all come out.
Well, they all come out. And the atmosphere's not right, and it's humid. And on those days, my experience tells me, training, there's going to be fights. Training, there's going to be injuries. And whatever you planned, when you notice that it's that day, off you go. You're a mug if you don't do that. That's common sense. So, that sounds a bit sort of witchcrafty, but it's not meant to be.
It's interesting, isn't it?
But it's common sense.
With it.
It's common sense. And I was small, so I was low centre of gravity. I was known for tackling. When I went into tackles, I was low. Never thought about not tackling for the ball. I think when you start to cheat, I'm not going for that. I'm going to do him. You end up doing yourself more harm than good. So just go for the ball and take what happens. I'd sort of back myself in the tackle as well, so I'm going in positively. That's mine. So say for instance Peter Crouch is going into a 50-50 tackle and he's like his head's up in the clouds and he's going in there, well, your sort of limbs are hanging out to dry, your ankles and your knees. So just to sort of explain the point, but I trusted the medical opinion. I relate it to, you can't go to a solicitor to take advice, come out of the office, you just give him 500 quid for his advice and say, not listening to that. You've got to put your trust in someone. Okay, I'm at a Tottenham, I'm not at a non-league club, I'm at a Tottenham, so arguably the advice is going to be
top notch.
Correct. And I know, famous status, I'm a young player, sort of 17, maybe 18. One of these Monday mornings, doctor looks at your fat ankle. I don't know why he did this, but he gave me these tablets in my palm of my hand. I mean, it's in a box. Anyway, take 2 yellow ones when you get up. Take 3 blue ones, etc., and take that white one before you go to bed for the next 5 days. So you can imagine how many you got here. I thought, can I remember that? Anyway. And other players would have been told similar things about different tablets. And one player I followed out, walked out the door and went, just threw him straight away. And I'm thinking, wow, he knows more than the doctor. No, he thinks he knows more than the doctor. So why do doctors have to go to university and medical school and all that? Exactly. And then you know more than them. Don't think so. So you got to trust someone. I trusted myself the most. Listen to my body, technique, and there must have been a lot of luck involved as well. That you don't get the wrong one.
It's amazing, but it's absolutely amazing because what we said, the heaviness of the pitches. Well, I know what you're saying about the football boots. They give you protection, but this, I just so you know how pathetic I am. I play football in this. Can you imagine? Is that anywhere near? Is anywhere near what you're?
Well, it was more viable to whether it washes up well than how it looks. Not that it looks bad.
No, but it doesn't. But I mean, as in, I get this rolled in mud because it's a replica of the era. That and obviously the second era.
But it was for durability rather than style.
But everything was heavy. The pitch was heavy. So it's amazing that.
I have a theory about that as well. If you're running through mud or sand, have you ever tried to run on the beach? How much extra it takes out of you? Well, if you do that for long enough,
builds up.
Actually, your muscles are going to be more to deal with it. And if you're building up the muscles around your knee and your ankles, which is the major problem. I mean, running on sand's not doing great for your elbows, but you know, your elbows don't get injured. Usually. So I think, I always say this about Jimmy Greaves and George Best. Oh, how would they have been on these pitches? Do you know what? They floated. They floated over whatever pitch it was, they floated. So actually, the pitches were more negative to the defenders trying to kick them and catch them and whatever. They floated.
Wow.
Which is why they were great players.
Most
of us were running through the pitches, and they were running on top.
Wow. I very, very briefly met George Best when I was a kid with Pat Jennings, bizarrely. They came across it 72, where they came across to Cyprus, at the part of the Northern Islands. So Derek Dugan, Pat Rice.
Good team.
And William McFall. And I happened to have the day off school. 2 older brothers.
Did you live in Cyprus?
Yeah, my dad was in the RAF, so we lived there. And the place that they were supposed to, the Northern Ireland team was supposed to train at, was bizarrely waterlogged, which was unusual in Cyprus.
Wow.
So they came up to the RAF base, or the military base, and used one of the military. My brothers got wind of this, so they took the day off school, said to my mum. I had the day off school because I wasn't well. My mum then said, lads, can you now take him down to... And I talked to my mum's from Limerick, so you'll know Limerick.
Sure.
Yeah, you played there. In fact, that beautiful time in Limerick. Anyway, she persuaded them to take me to see Northern Ireland train. Of course, when we got there, my brother's classmates were sitting, because the school had taken them. They said they weren't coming to school because they were ill. There's their classmates sitting there with his teacher across there and said, well, Egan, I'll see you tomorrow morning. I was all right. So I got to speak to Pat Jennings, Derek Dugan, and George Best's having training shots against Pat Jennings from the halfway line. He's like, bam, bam, bam. I'm looking, and I'm like 5 years old or whatever. And I went, what? Are you really George Best? And he turned around and he did this on my head. He goes, yeah. Now for years, you can't see it now because it's all gone grey. I used to just have this grey bit like the Malin Street here. For all my life, I would say to people, that's a bit weird, isn't it?
George Best.
I should have just played George Best actually. And then there came a day in an assembly working in schools, and I think, hey, what have you got that white thing? He said, because George Best touched my hair. And just see these kids looking at, you don't know who George Best is? Oh no, it's such a sad time in history that you don't know who George Best is. There aren't many players better than him, would you say, in your time? Because you played with some.
The best I played against. The best.
Yeah.
And I have to say, the best players I've played with or against are normally the best people.
Wow, that's a good thing to know.
And I don't really know George. I played against him, of course. Don't really know him, but Pat Jennings would say to me, Steve, he's one of us.
Yeah.
He's such a nice guy.
Wow, that's good.
He drinks a bit more than most of us.
Yeah.
He likes a woman a bit more than most of us.
Yeah.
But he's one of us.
That's the time he's wasting his time.
He's one of us. So I truly believe that.
Yeah.
And when you're developing players, as we had to do at Exeter in my other years of being in football, it's no good just making the player, you've got to make the person too.
Yeah.
So you've got a chance.
Big part of it, isn't it? The character. And the point for me, the byproduct of sport, team sport, because we use it a lot at Can Do. You know, I said to you, we do the football project inclusion one, so we work with on the projects and all the tournaments. We have refugees, homeless, fantastic, doorway, whatever, fantastic. But it's that bit where you're all playing fair. You know, we have the police and whatever, which is interesting, running after some of the kids that they usually run after down the street. But anyway, get him before he gets you. But it's that camaraderie or the focus. And we did a tournament at White Hart Lane, in the old White Hart Lane, obviously, where the stadium used to have a fight. Yeah, exactly. Did a tournament with gangs and all sorts that we work with in London. And it's this thing about it, bringing it together. Yeah. But on the philosophical side of it, and I've done a couple of the FA badges about the psychological aspect of it, and you're totally right, it's about the character of the person. It's about that whole, how you present because, the game's 90 minutes or 100 minutes or whatever it is. The rest of the time, who are you and what are you? I wondered, over the years, have you noticed a change in the culture of football players? Because you've played with them, you've trained with them, and you've also trained them and picked them.
We used to get asked to go to a certain pub in Hackney or Bethnal Green or wherever, in a pub, to knock over the bottle of... People used to put their money in the bottle, didn't they?
Yeah.
The big whiskey bottles.
Yeah.
And now they wouldn't want you anywhere near a pub.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
So that was all done off our own back.
Yeah.
That was down to you to answer letters.
Wow. In
his early days, Ozzy Ardiles lives not that far from the training ground. And he said to me one day, Stevie, I do this. So it's a local school presentation.
Oh, wow.
So I said, and by the way, I lived an hour away.
Yeah.
I never lived close to Tottenham or Cheshunt. I was still West London. I'd say, Ozzy, you should do that.
Yeah.
You do it, I do it. Okay. So it was because he didn't want to be on his own, which you understand in a foreign country. But you did it off your own back. You were not pushed there by your club. As time went on, you had the junior Spurs, so you had to turn up to those things. Yeah. You got a community scheme, probably to help decisions go right about a new stadium.
Yeah. I know you mean the politics,
and infrastructure and all the bits. So it's all joined up, to be fair. So the club encouraged that. I suppose things get highlighted more because of social media.
Yeah.
You know, if Harry Kane gives his shirt to someone in the crowd, you see it how many times. So I actually was proud to be part of the era that I played in.
Oh yeah.
On and off the field.
Yeah.
It was more genuine. It was more honest.
Yeah.
Less noses in the trough.
Yeah.
Created by the Sky money.
Yeah.
I get very upset with pundits these days. I think, do you know what, you pundits, you wouldn't even, if there was no money involved, you wouldn't even watch football now.
I know what I mean. Yeah, the attachment, the actual, that working class, they say, I mean, I used to say it's a modern vernacular for war, that if you, in the right way, as in, you'd rather watch a football game than go to war, but it's that gang stroke, club stroke, belonging to a family, in its best part. I mean, Chippenham Town, lovely. Those grassroots clubs are the lifeblood of our communities, let alone this thing. I used to have this theory, and I'm going to put it past you because I want to see you faint. I used to have this thing, right, because we were grassroots, that we should change the rules of football so that, for instance, on an international level, everyone connected with the international team, and I'm not being jingoist, I'm more Irish as I am anything else, that you'd have everyone connected, including the physio and everything else, would be the best in the profession that you could get that was from that country.
Absolutely.
Right?
Why not?
Now, then extend it so that you couldn't play for a football team unless you lived within, not the sound of Bow Bells, but you get my, that there would be an area. In my head, what would happen is, if you're Tottenham, you would have to invest just in the infrastructure in a certain district around your club. That would go into schools, the local after school clubs, whatever. You would have to, because you go, wait a minute, because.
So working for Exeter in later years, so you had to have a community scheme. Yeah. You had to have these centres for kids to get some sort of football, because not many schools were carrying on with even doing football. Yeah. So it was more genuine, it was more honest. Yeah. There was no extras going on behind it. I liked the fact that I lived an hour from the place I worked. Yeah. Before phones in the car, that was my thinking time.
Yeah. Go defrag. Yeah.
I could consider, I could work it out, etc. Within the cutting off that traffic and get around that. Yeah. But no phones to interrupt you. Yeah. Just so. Keith Perkinshaw said to me one day, "So Steve, I think it's about time you move over these ways." So I said, when I signed for Bill Nicholson back in 1967, Keith, he said I could live wherever I wanted to live. Are you changing that? Walks away. So, but that's the fun you could have with your manager. I never spoke like that to Bill Nick, to be fair, out of respect. But now I'm an older. Yeah. And, if you can't have a laugh and a smile about things. He said to me about 6 months ago, he said, "So, Steve, I'll tell you about you, shall I?" I said, "Yeah, go on then." I said, "By the way, I'm making this phone call, Keith, so you've waited for me to phone to tell me what you..." Anyway. So he said, "You had a go at me, you had a go at everyone, but there's one player you never had a go at." And I know what the answer is. So I said, "Yeah, go on then." He said, "Glenn Hoddle." "Why didn't you ever have a go at Glenn?" I said, "If I ever come back in another life as a footballer, I want to be Glenn Hoddle."
Wow. Is he really all that you might know much?
Amazing talent. Yeah. And doesn't mean to say that I didn't say to Glenn, "You need to get back a bit quicker than that, Glenn." Yeah. Or 10 yards left. He never went, "Recover." Anyway, so, but these are great things to talk about when it's all done.
Oh my God, I remember reading it actually in the Boys from White Hart Lane. That is fantastic book.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, if you're a football fan across the board, beautiful, beautifully written, and you've all got your own parts of it. And I know Glenn didn't take part in that, but
I spoke to one of the writers on Saturday night. Went to a birthday party near going towards Southampton, and a chap who helps me with my podcast was 40. And I turned up and there was 2 people from the Trust, Tottenham Trust. So it was very interesting to hear what's going on with the old age pensioners tickets, and Tottenham want the money up front for season tickets now in April rather than leaving it to the end of May, etc. All this stuff going on behind, and they've got to put the fans' view on all this. Yeah. And he was one of the writers of that voice.
That's a good read. That just reminded me as you were saying. I said, now I remember now. So Glenn, that's interesting about Glenn Hoddle, because as a fan, so a great era. If I started in supporting in '71, I don't need to tell you.
He came to prominence about '77. Local lad from Harlow. Yeah. Martin Chivers happened to be presenting prizes at a cup final somewhere, said, you should be playing at Tottenham.
Wow.
And then it all went into operation. And, Chiv wasn't being paid to do the presentation or to do the scout, but you see something and you know what career you've just had.
Yeah.
And you pass it on, don't you? So, I think the game these days has become more, for instance, in the play, there's nothing. We used to have a players' room where you could talk to the opponents after. There is no such room now. There'd be a players' room, but for your family, your children. Yeah. But nowadays, your lawyer, your accountant,
your agent,
etc. Yeah. So that's the sort of world we're in now. And one day we played Arsenal, and I'm sort of waiting at the bar to get served, and knock on my shoulder, turn around, it was Alan Ball, captain of Arsenal.
Yeah.
He said, "You don't like me, do you?" I said, "Not really, Alan." He said, "You fucking would if you played with me," and that's the truth. Yeah. You can't like him because he's that.
He's also Arsenal.
He's Arsenal, so.
Well, to be fair, he used to be Everton as well, didn't he?
But he was what a great player.
Exactly.
What a player.
There's another era of players that you played against as well.
So Harvey, Ball and Kendall.
Yeah.
I said before, best Charlton law.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Players like that.
Yeah.
And a lot of these players, some did, but there were so many good midfield players around. Yeah. Some never got a hint of playing for England.
Yeah, I always thought but I always thought that about Mickey Hazard.
Mickey did play in the end. But not many. Not many.
Even in Tottenham. I mean, what a great backup, so say. Because the games
because he had Ozzy and Glenn in front of him and Ricky.
Yeah.
So, not that Ozzy was a luxury, but the other 3 were.
Yeah.
So you couldn't play. It's like anything. When you put a team together. Some people are surprised when I talk about it like this because it sounds like it's too automatic. But have you got enough height? Because if you haven't, you're going to get done at corners. Yeah. Have you got enough pace?
Yeah.
Have you got enough that?
Yeah.
Have you got enough?
Yeah.
Have you got a leader? And you've got to throw it into the mix. Yeah. And like Ramsey discovered, it's not about the best 11 players.
No.
It's how.
Otherwise, you just pick stats, wouldn't you?
Absolutely.
It's the magic how they get melded.
It's how they all fit together.
That's what. And
it's the communication. It's the trust. It's the respect between each other. In a way, the hierarchy, because the captain should be the leader of the opinion. I was in my era most of the time. I was the leader of the club.
Lucky to have you all that time as well as the continuity.
Because I understood what them supporters thought, what they wanted, what they expected, and it was my job to put that over to someone like Ozzy and Ricky who come. Land. And Ozzy said to me one day, we're travelling, I don't like to talk about this, but we're travelling back from Liverpool. We'd just been beaten 7-0.
Oh, I remember it, mate.
In their first
season.
And I'm sat on a table.
I remember it.
I'm sat on a table of 4 with Ozzy and Ricky and me. And Ozzy's seeing my face and Stevie, no problem. What? No problem. What's no problem? I said, Ozzy, we just got beat 7-0. We got a game on Wednesday. When we run out of that tunnel on Wednesday at home, they're going to let us know. He said, Stevie, no problem. I said, go on then. Why no problem? He said, his team, drugs. It was alright, we got beat 7-0 because they was on drugs and we weren't.
Okay, well, the moral high
that's alright. So when we run out on Wednesday, we'll have a sign up. Non-drugs. No drugs in this team. As if they're going to believe you.
Right. Bringing it up to the present, we spoke a little bit about Exeter and the time in Japan. I'm keen to promote for all the good people out there a special thanks to Phil Rice for getting us in contact. When's this lovely event? We're going to put it, by the way, on our Facebook.
Thank you.
On all our channels. We'll put this on all our channels, but we'll also put it along the bottom, or the wonderful Maya will, along the bottom of
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
As we're talking now, when it comes out.
It's on the 14th of May, which is a special day in our lives because it was the day that we played Man City at Wembley. So we'd been relegated.
Yeah.
Got up.
Yeah.
Signed the Argentinians. Signed some good strikers.
Archibald and
Crooks. And then it needs to take off. And it's going to take off if we win at Wembley, that 81 final, which we eventually did, but in a replay, not on that day. But anyway, it's a special day, but actually it was a free day for them, for them to be able to hold it. So it's my sort of entry into the village. I've lived here for 15 months, maybe 17 months now. It's been a very tricky 17 months because we moved here in the middle of COVID. We both got COVID very early, but we both say that we've had worse colds. So it's my entry into the village, if you like. It's
Village Hall.
Village Hall, the club. KSM Club. And
KSM Club, right, we'll get the address on that.
It's 7 for 7:30 start. So I can talk about, like I've done to you, my experiences, my career, I suppose. And you could say, but Spurs people. Well, actually, it's a tale of a young. It's a tale of a young man leaving school with dreams, who eventually rode out the dreams, and as I said, travelled the world, met some great people. So it's £10 entry. That's my respect to the area. I don't know the area. I don't know if they're well to do or not. But that £10 shouldn't hold anyone back. Half of the profit of the day is going to go to my charity, which is Devon Air Ambulance. They helped save my life 10 years ago when I had this aorta dissection problem in my heart. And the other half is going to go to whatever the local people decide, whether it be Ukraine or the local church to have something done. I don't know, and that's their business. So I think people will come. I know Spurs supporters in Swindon that will come. I think the biggest problem on the night will be the parking, because you can't park in this village. Anyway, so
good point.
So all come in one minibus. Anyway,
that's not a bad idea.
So
I'm going to speak to Malcolm as well, who's a Mad King Tottenham fan. We'll see if we can make a night out of it.
Well, it'd be enjoyable in terms of
something like this. But this is what I was thinking. We can't put this out. We'll have to put this out as a snippet, because I want people to come and hear you. What I'll do is we'll do an advert.
But there's
loads
of
snippets.
But there's loads more.
Of course there is. But what I'm thinking is I'm trying to work out the best way.
I've got a lot more on sugar.
So there's a question and answer.
Loads more.
Is there a question and answer?
So I talk for about 3/4 of an hour to an hour. Then you have a break for people to recharge their glasses. Then there's a question and answer as per their questions. And yeah, it should be a good night. I'm used to doing this stuff.
Yeah.
I do it as far as
it's like this.
I do it as far as
Little
Scotland, Dublin,
Yeah.
Belfast, County Durham.
Yeah.
Last week I was in Hinckley and a place called Mickleover near Derby.
Wow.
There's Spurs supporters everywhere,
Yeah, of
but
course.
I repeat, it doesn't really have to be Tottenham people, because it's the story of a young footballer getting in, doing his stuff and getting in and being
we'll
able
use
to
that as an advert.
being able to spread.
We'll put this on after the date of that event. Am I right or not? Am I mad? Do you know? Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Do you know what I mean?
You do what's right.
I want to do later. I'll do snippets of this.
Snippets. That's
Yes, right. And then once that day's gone,
Perfect.
put the whole show on.
That's great.
Tell me about Limerick, because that's my mother and father's home city.
What was
I have
the
a brother
club?
and
Was it-
sister
was it Limerick FC?
FC, that's right, at Fuman Park.
In
Ballinanty which is actually one of the areas that I love very much.
In general, Ireland.
Yeah,
Like I told the story about Dublin.
yeah,
Fun.
yeah,
A different way of
yeah.
looking at things. And I think once we went to, it must have been, I think of the name, we go to this club in UEFA Cup and there's troubles. So as normal, we chartered a plane, we're delivered by plane. If there's spare places, you offer it to the media, and if there's more spare, you go to the supporters, upper class sort of supporters, for want of a better word. But this particular day, we took security guys. Now, looking at these security men, no. I mean, if they were surrounding the hotel or walking in the grounds of the hotel while we're sleeping, well, no, you might as well not bother. Anyway, but good lads, very, very good lads. They're going to run.
Yeah.
Not bad judges. Anyway, so there's an air of something's happening. And normally in Ireland, it's a good happening.
Yeah.
And this occasion, it's still... Anyway, so we're playing the game, no lights. So it's got to be an afternoon kick-off. And at 5 minutes to go to half-time comes a message over the loudspeaker. Important announcement. Important announcement. We're looking at each other. Important announcement. Ooh. By the way, there's police with guard dogs and Alsatians and all that on every corner flag and all that, yapping at you as you're taking a corner. Well, anyway, important announcement. We've lost the keys to the Bovril hut. So, if you want in Bovril at half time, you's unlucky. But Irish people in general, I love them.
Yeah.
I love the place, north and south.
Yeah.
I love it, and we had some fun times there. These days, the club would go on a pre-season tournament in China, America, Australia.
Yeah.
Money.
Of course.
In those days, back in our day, it was chosen for nearness, for diet, for fresh air.
Yeah.
Not too far.
Yeah. It meant a lot to the people.
And
that
therefore,
at the time.
that's why we've got so many supporters in Ireland in general, in Scandinavia.
Yes, loads, isn't it? Iceland.
And it was
loads in Iceland.
Bill Nicholson, it was to spread the word of the club.
Yeah. And rightly so.
What a great way.
What a great club, and led no better, no more consistently than you, sir. You're an absolute legend. I cannot thank you enough on behalf of Can Do Arts to do this.
Bill Nicholson fed you. Talk about making the player and the person, the person and the player. Ethics, integrity. Yeah. If you say you do something, do it. Yeah. It's as easy to do it well as cheat it. Yeah. And easy things, but there was easy messages to how to play football. Yeah. As I walked in the door, Bill Nicholson said, Steve, if you keep it quick, easy and accurate, you'll have a career.
Yeah.
That could apply today.
Yeah.
How many years later is that?
Yeah.
And because I wasn't a sort of dribbler with a ball, he said, see it, Steve, give it.
Yeah.
See it, give it.
And move.
And off you go. Next position.
Yeah. Yeah.
And all sort of basic, but a framework. Now, he couldn't give me the same messages as he gave to Jimmy Greaves, because that's a renowned goal scorer and I'm a defensive midfield player.
Yeah.
But as long as you're all on the same page, as per him knowing what I was probably going to do with the ball,
yes, that's it.
leads him to...
Yeah.
Football is about, what do I think will happen next?
Yes. Anticipation.
Yeah.
And composure.
And
that's what I loved about you. You were really composed.
And
you look like you were in a football match.
And Bill Nicholson would say, and I've said this loads of times, someone could say the game's about anticipation, like you just said.
Yeah.
And yes, it means something, but
yes,
Bill Nick would say, Steve, anticipation, son. And it meant so much more.
Yeah.
Which is an art.
Yeah, absolutely.
All these great managers, they've all got their way.
Yeah.
Different ways,
yeah.
But they've all got their way. You know, Mourinho at his height was this style.
Yeah.
Didn't really play, did he, Mourinho? But had a delivery of sorts.
Yeah.
I remember listening to Wenger when he first came to England. Yeah. I'm in Japan, by the way, but Sky TV.
Yeah.
And what did he say? Because of his foreign accent, he would say the same things as what everyone else was saying, but
sounds sophisticated.
Just sounds a bit. He'd use a different word.
Yeah.
And Klopp now.
Yeah.
To the.
Yeah.
26,000 people behind that goal. They used to suck the ball into the net, those people.
What do you think about Conte then?
Conte's the right man now.
Yeah.
I have a problem with players who want to play for manager A but didn't want to play for manager B or C.
Yeah.
That is so selling the self short, selling the club short, but most of all selling the supporters short.
Yeah, bless you. I always think that. For that.
You play for whoever's the manager,
yeah.
And it's great if you get on with the manager, but you cannot have a 20-year career and get on with everyone.
No.
It's not possible.
No.
You're playing for the club.
Yeah.
They say that you're playing for the badge. Okay, you are. But those people paying money.
Oh God! Well,
you sell them
short.
A
midweek trip from Chippenham to
you
White Hart Lane.
sell them short.
Yeah.
Watch out.
It's just it is. It's heartbreaking.
That crowd know if you've got your heart in it or you haven't.
Yeah.
And that's what I try to transmit to the players. And in a way, I'd have to say, they're coming for us. They're not happy. The natives are not happy, and they're coming for us. And if we don't do something different this second half, we're in for it.
Yeah.
And whether they believe me or not, I needed to say it. So, I think the game lacks leadership these days. I don't like these names, but John Terry and Tony Adams, for instance, were two of the best captains from another era.
Yeah.
And I think the thing to keep in mind with it is that they're homegrown.
Yeah.
You need to have that. I went to Oxford after Tottenham. Tottenham didn't want me anymore. Should move on, fine. And I helped save them relegation, keep them up. And in the summer, a very, very good manager, Maurice Evans, said to me, Steve, I'd like you to be captain next season. No, Maurice. Why not? I said, 'cause I don't love you. That's talking about my love for Tottenham. The supporters, the people, the whatever.
Yeah,
I can't love them.
It has to be that.
I can't love them and then I don't love them anymore. I love you.
No. I know what you mean.
No.
Wow.
So you've got there's something in that.
There's a relationship. I think, and you're definitely right, man. There's no doubt that the crowd know. Don't care what team.
They know.
They know when a player has got their interests at heart. They actually have that humble.
Yeah.
That they're, as I say, I remember travelling down midweek, we got beat 6, I think maybe 6-1, it might have been 6, I think it was 6-1, something like that. Man City, quite recently. And you're just thinking, right, we've got to go back to Wiltshire after this. We spent a couple of £100 getting here.
Absolutely.
Now, on a good day, you wouldn't even
More
think
than
about
happy.
it, wouldn't you?
More than happy.
As long as you sit, I think Danny Rose got sent off, which I will give the lads the excuse of thinking, well, we were down to 10 men.
Yeah.
However, when you look on the player's face and you think, don't know if you're as involved in this game as I am, and I'm on the bloody sidelines.
I think about Delhi.
Yes, listen.
So, obviously been a very, very, very good player.
Yeah.
Bit of flicks and tricks, etc. And that works better when you've got extreme confidence, which he did have.
Yeah.
So now he's lacking confidence. He tries the same things, and it don't come off.
Yeah.
Do you care enough to chase that?
That's the bit, and it's the follow-up.
And that's what they know.
Yeah, that's it.
Make a mistake, no problem.
Yeah.
Don't try to make up for it. Bigger problem.
Yeah, I agree.
Bigger problem.
I agree.
So yeah.
Right.
They're the messages we try and put across, and been great to talk to you. Hope it all comes out okay, and
you're a genius. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Absolute legend.
Pleasure.
Thank you so much.
Spinning at 1,000 miles an hour, just another speck in the cosmic